disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hoping a fantastic day so far. As we're entering 2024, a new year, new hope, but also new devastating ways to scam us. And 2024 is met with more and more elaborate ways to scam us, and how elitist bureaucrats and politicians and basically the establishment alike are finding new particular ways to stick it to the hardworking individuals that just working 9 to 5 and surviving this chaotic world that we're already in right now. And we take this right to New York. New York being the first one to dedicate 2024 to the newest form of oppression by charging people to go to work. And that brings me to this TikTok video that I have to show before we get into the article at hand of what this actually means. But take a watch of this.
In a groundbreaking move, New York City became the first city in America to enforce a congestion pricing plan, marking a significant shift in daily commuting costs. Americans are now required to pay approximately $23 per day, with varying tolls for different vehicle types. Passenger vehicles face a charge of $15 to enter the congestion zone, while trucks incur fees between $24 and $36 based on their size, and motorcycles face a $7.50 toll. These charges, effective once per day, are applicable between 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on weekends. While the proposal aims to alleviate traffic congestion, controversy arises as the city eliminates the option to work from home, a measure proven effective in reducing traffic, saving fuel costs, and lowering greenhouse gas emissions. Speculation arises on which city might be the next to implement a congestion pricing plan. The board has scheduled 2 crucial meetings on December 6th and December 20th, providing a platform for public feedback on the perceived high fees associated with the plan. Do you believe it will contribute to environmental improvement or impose financial burdens on New Yorkers?
You gotta hand it to the Big Apple for really screwing the regular Joe and Jane. Gotta hand it to them, because that is just diabolical. And they really burnt the candle on both ends on that. Because, hey, we're going to charge you to commute to work every single day at a ridiculous high fee. And we're going to say it's because there's too much congestion and it's environmental impacts, and that's why, we have to charge you for this. But there's no alternative to actually working, from home, which would actually be better in both scenarios. But we're not going to allow that to happen either. So we're just going to take that money, we're going to run off with it, and you're going to get screwed again. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. They're going to charge everyday New Yorkers to go from their house to their workplace to try to make a living, to pay their dues and rent and everything else. Charge them from commuting to their workplace. Wow. That's crazy. So here's the article that ties into this. This is from Bloomberg. And they say New York City drivers face $23 a ride congestion fee as soon as April of 2024. $23 a ride. So that's $23 just one way of taking your vehicle to your workplace so you can work a regular job to try to make a living and paying all your other fees and taxes. Like, do you see how outrageous this is? This is how you wonder why people get so frustrated and get pissed off anytime they mention about environmental impacts and stuff like that. It's because everything that has been improvised, everything that's been used in politics is nothing to do with the environment. It's just more ways to tax you. The same way happening in Canada of the carbon tax. They're charging you triple and double everything. But is it actually making environmental impacts? No. No. Because there's no actual litigation that's beneficial for the planet, that's beneficial, that actually has an impact for the environment. It's all just a marketing scam to screw people to think they're actually doing something impactful, but they're not. So it goes on by saying New York City may begin charging motorists traveling to major parts of Manhattan as soon as April of 2024. The congestion pricing plan, the first of its kind in the U.S., is expected to get final approval next month. It will charge Easy Pass motorists driving south of 60th Street, the city's central business district, as much as $23 per trip. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which runs the city's subways, buses, and commuter rail lines, released on Friday a final environmental assessment of the plan that includes new concessions for low-income motorists as well as Uber and Lyft drivers. So you could definitely see that's going to be increased, and that's going to be harmful because people that are taking public transit are also going to get screwed by this. You see how just all around this, how bad this is? The transit agency anticipates the U.S. Department of Transportation will give the final approval after a 30-day public review period, a significant milestone that will allow construction to begin on the tolling grantees. Congestion pricing means less traffic, cleaner air, safer streets, better transit, and unicorns and rainbows and everything alike. According to Jano Libra, the MTA's chief executive officer, said during a media briefing about the plan on Thursday. The MTA officials expect congestion pricing to bring in $1 billion in new revenue a year that the agency will bond against to raise $15 billion. Those funds will help finance major capital projects like expanding the 2nd Avenue subway to Harlem, updating the subway signal system, and adding more elevators and escalators to stations to make them more accessible. Why, of all the taxes, of all the funding that New York generates on an average day, they could have easily just done this. They did not have to do this congestion pricing BS. They could have just easily done it. They could have easily found a way to raise money for to make the subways more accessible. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous because you're taxing low income and middle class New Yorkers just trying to go to work. Meanwhile, they're not going. Did you see anything about limo drivers? Did you see anything about wealthy heirs that have their own drivers and have different cars? Do you see anything about car garages? Do you see anything about that? No. But it's directly hitting the middle class and lower class people of New York. A 6-member traffic mobility review board will determine the specific tolling structure and discounts or exemptions. Drivers using an Easy Pass may pay as much as $23 per peak hours and $17 during off-peak periods. But the final environmental assessments includes concessions. Passenger cars, taxis, and for hire vehicles like Uber and Lyft will only be charged once a day. Oh, thank God. At least they have some sort of heart. Wow. For the first 5 years of the program, Easy Pass drivers making less than $50,000 a year would get a 25% discount starting on their 11th trip within a calendar month. Are you... What? That is such devious... again, credit to the Big Apple for really screwing you this hard. Because now they're just dangling a carrot in front of your carrot under your nose. The fact that they're saying, well, if you make less than $50,000 a year, you can get a 25% discount, but only if you pass the 11th trip. We'll give you a punch card. If you're able to afford 11 trips, which you probably already went bankrupt for to begin with, but if you make that 11th trip, then we'll start giving you discounts. Residents of the Manhattan district with incomes below $60,000 will be granted a state tax credit. The final review also includes lower overnight tolls than what the MTA projected in August, an attempt to encourage truck drivers to pay the new fee rather than bypass Manhattan and drive through the Bronx. Really? Really? Oh, we're gonna make it a couple cents cheaper, so do not avoid us, because we're gonna come hunting down. We're gonna take your money, because in order to make green, we got to take your green. Wow, that's so messed up. That's so messed up. And this is all implemented by the New York governor, Kathy Hochul, because she was the one that announced this originally. She was the one that announced that in the upcoming year, there was going to be this kind of price gouging congestion fee to lower the emissions of New York State, to lower the emissions of directly in the business district of New York, and it is also supposed to reduce traffic. But like you saw in the TikTok video, they're not implementing, possible provisions for work at home. They're not encouraging that. They're not encouraging expansions of public transit. All of this just seems like an absolute scam. And it is a scam because they're not implementing any sort of environmental impact when it comes to these decisions. It's all about taking money and then scamming you, saying that it's going to be beneficial for the environment and make you think you have a conscience by paying up all this extra dough and making you bankrupt. But it's not actually doing any benefit. It's not doing anything for New York. It's not doing anything for the air. It's not going to clean your water. It's not going to clean the air. It's not going to do anything. Because we already know there's environmental disasters and impacts that's already taking place that's far worse than everyday New Yorkers traveling to work. There's more devastation impacting the planet, like the 1,000+ military bases or the explosion of the Nord Stream pipeline that never gets discussed in any of these environmental talks. But they're going to tax the shit out of middle-class workers. Do you see how screwed up that is? Do you see why people stay away from and start doubting the idea that of climate change? Do you see where that comes from? It's not denial of science. It's the fact that politicians are denying science in order to capitalize the paranoia of this and tax the shit out of you. So here's New York Governor Kathy Hochul in a press conference, and listen to what the reporter is about to ask her.
Earlier today on both sides. Thank you. And just the governor, to follow up on the congestion pricing issue, there was a news conference earlier today on both sides of the aisle. Representative Maliotakis and Gottheimer both calling upon the Federal Highway Administration to study the economic, environmental impact of congestion pricing. Also, the Inspector General to audit where has the COVID money gone to the MTA. Any thoughts are you having of reconsidering congestion pricing?
No, I'm not. What we have seen is the effect on our environment in a very short time when we have so much more traffic on our highways. This is what we've been trying to avoid. This is a plan that has been there for decades, 15, 20 years perhaps. And the thought is that we would do everything we can in our power to encourage people to take public transportation and get the vehicles off the road. This is a perfect example of that, how we've made.
Yes, we want to encourage people to take public transportation, even though our public transit system is already in dire shape and needs a huge investment deal and is not going to be able to contain that many people. This is not an acceptable plan. This is not a good plan whatsoever. You taxing people to shit to try to encourage them to take public transit, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not beneficial. And it's just going to make New York even more devastating. And more middle-class people are going to feel the absolute burden of just going to work. Just getting to their workplace is going to be an absolutely financial burden. And it's going to make more people devastated, more financial uncertainty. And it's going to make the New York economy collapse. And exactly how is this beneficial for the planet? As that reporter was asking, where's the statistics? Where's the scientific explanation in the analytics to confirm that congestive pricing is beneficial? You have nothing. You have nothing to back this. And that's why surrounding governors in New Jersey and Pennsylvania are looking at this and they're counteracting to this. I think I just saw when I was doing this article and finding clips for this, that the New Jersey governor is looking to sue the New York governor. I may be wrong on that. Someone look that up. But I do believe that there's counteraction to this insanity. That taxing the crap out of middle-class people is not beneficial to the planet whatsoever. Learn from our mistake here in Canada. Justin Trudeau tried that multiple times. He's still trying to do that, trying to quadruple the carbon tax. And what has that done? Nothing. Nothing for the planet. Nothing for environmental causes. In fact, it's caused more devastation and more hardship, and more Canadians are in financial ruin because they believed that it was going to be actually impactful for the environment, but they got scammed out of it. They got scammed by two-faced psychopaths like Justin Trudeau, like Kathy Hochul.
Those investments so we can offer a better environmentally friendly alternative that actually puts people's time back in their lives. So that's what we're focused on. But in the final analysis, as we're continuing our final stages of outreach and our transit mobility study is just getting underway, these voices, we've analyzed their concerns, but also we're not going backwards. I mean, I've said this before. We are the first generation to have to deal with the real effects of climate change. 1 year ago, I was not far from here battling the effects of a hurricane. We had more hurricanes here than Florida did last year. That's what we're dealing with today. So we're the first generation to really see the impacts. We're the last generation that can really do something about it. This is what we're doing about it. Congestion pricing is one tool, enhancing our infrastructure to give people a better experience and say, leave your vehicles home. You can get to work safely, and protecting the environment in the meantime.
But again, you don't have the infrastructure in hand to do this. This is the exact same argument when people say that, oh, if everyone just had an electric vehicle and just charged it, everything would be perfect. The problem with that is, if everyone had an electric vehicle, our power system is unbelievably unprepared for the effects that everyone would have to charge their electric vehicle. Electric vehicles have not advanced enough to react to the average transit person, and then the fact that truckers, they're trying to introduce electric trucks to truckers. They don't have the mileage yet. They don't have the mileage and ability to travel long distances, and we don't have the infrastructure to charge the vehicles. We don't have the energy infrastructure to have that massive grid on top of powering everybody's house. It's an unbelievable mess. It's an unbelievable mess. And there's so many solutions that we could be doing right now. Instead of charging middle-class people, why are we not, doing simple things like planting more trees? Why are we not introducing more hemp products? Why are we not making a business incentive that says, hey, if you go more sustainable, environmentally friendly, we'll give you benefits. We'll give you tax credit. Why are we not doing that? Instead of charging the hell out of everyday people that are already feeling financial burn, feeling financial insecurity, by the cost of living, by the amount of taxes in New York State alone. And now on top of this, wow. This is just the ultimate middle finger to the entire population of New York. Wow. Somewhere right now, Frank Sinatra is like rolling out of his grave and regretting to make a song about New York. If he was allowed to see this, he would instantly change the song. He would be singing about, I don't know, Chicago or Memphis. If he saw the disaster afoot, if he saw the fact that the governor instituting charging people to drive to work. Unbelievably crazy. Start charging your fees. You're leaving today. I don't want to be a part of it. New York, New York. Oh, man. I don't know how people could take it. And maybe New York City, maybe your New Year's resolution would be starting to have a revolution. Because if this is your future, holy crap, I don't know how long that city's going to last. I don't know what's going to break the camel's back for people to wake up in New York and say, enough is enough. You know, look what happened in France when they instituted a higher gas tax. Like, they shut shit down. And maybe it's about time New York City took some steps of that. Because this is the future that's going to be beholden by insanely idiotic, crazy, criminal masterminds like Kathy Hochul that doesn't really give a damn about anything but taking your greens and thinking that you're doing green.